Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Taibbi. Matt Taibbi is one of those people who's a prime example of how everybody, for whatever reason, everybody who shit talks America from the left side of the aisle, for whatever reason, from a media standpoint, that's built some sort of like a little fiefdom of their own, shit talking America, always started out in Russia, always got funding in Russia. This asshole started a fucking zine where he sexually harassed and assaulted the women who worked there while he was in Moscow. It's just weird. I mean, there's so many fucking countries in the world, and they always started there. Why there? I mean, I understand you got your backs and forths and shit like that about the Cold War and the end of the Cold War, and there was a big spring up there. But you don't start it out in the UK or Australia. You didn't move down to Belize or live in Papua New Guinea and run a fucking zine out of there on the internet in the early days. It's just always Moscow. Why? Why is it always Moscow with these motherfuckers? All right. So and every single one of them always comes back, and the CIA is behind every fucking rock. CIA helped trigger Trump-Russia probe, according to Matt Taibbi. Is that how it worked out? That's what happened? They triggered it. They helped trigger it. So they're not behind the evidence. They didn't concoct a story. They helped trigger it. By what? Doing their work overseas and noticing this motherfucker was compromised? I don't know what I'm saying in terms of this. Maybe somebody can check me on this. Perhaps I'm wrong, but it seems to me that the CIA's intel would trigger investigations about Americans inside because they can't do it themselves. They could just trigger the FBI or the DOJ or somebody to investigate Americans. They could just look into it, and they find something outside the country, tell the people inside the country, post 9/11, hand in glove, they're trying to organize. It just seems right? Okay. So, anyways, Trump's in Des Moines, Iowa, 2016. CIA helped trigger Trump-Russia probe. Because they're the ones who found the evidence, because they're the intelligence agency, and of course, let's see.
In the 1950s,
oh, this fucker again. Really?
President Dwight Eisenhower announced that he was naming the first civilian director in the history of the CIA. His name was Allen Dulles, and Dulles had one order: eliminate communism. But under Dulles, the CIA morphed into Washington's most powerful agency.
By the way, have you seen the Soviet Union recently? Just saying, they kind of, considering it was a war between two nuclear powers, and at one point there was this brinksmanship between the two that would ultimately possibly either allow one or the other to control the world, or in the case of Russia, controlling the rest of the world, or America to allow the rest of the world to be themselves, which is what we do, versus when Russia takes over a section of Georgia, everybody starts speaking Russian. If they take over Ukraine, nobody's going to be speaking Ukraine or calling themselves Ukrainians anymore. They now are Russian citizens, and that's how it is. America, we defeat Germany, we defeat Japan, and everybody speaks Japanese in Japan and British English in Germany, whatever.
Built up by a league of ruthless assassins.
Ruthless? Ruth Chris?
His most powerful agency, built up by a league of ruthless assassins.
Ruthless, yes. It's difficult sometimes when ruthless. If you make some Ruth don't even make the list.
Operating under the orders to protect capitalism from the Soviet menace.
Well, the United States of America. I mean, capitalism was our methodology, but communism itself was a combination of an economic system and a governmental system that, had a track record of killing tens of millions of people just to get it rolling. I can understand why Dulles might not have liked it.
Dulles became power hungry. Just months into his term, Dulles green
was like, the thing I want is an airport named after me.
Lighted Operation PB Success.
It's just have anything to do with, is it crunchy peanut butter or smooth? Crunchy, please say crunchy.
A coup to take out Guatemala's democratically elected leader, Jacobo Arbenz, and replace him with a military dictator. Why? To serve as a vanguard for corporate interests. You see, they needed to protect.
By the way, tonight's Jesse Waters is brought to you by old episodes of Democracy Now!
Protect the profits of the United Fruit Company. They were under threat of having their land confiscated under the Arbenz administration.
I see. But so private land being confiscated by so people who provided like food to the rest of the world were in danger of having their land confiscated by this guy. Okay, gotcha. All right. And so you're for land confiscation. Great, Jesse Waters. Let's hear it. Let's hear your argument.
And the CIA has never shied away from government overthrow, from Iran to the Congo to South Vietnam.
MI6 was behind Iran. As a matter of fact, we begged out of it.
The CIA has never changed.
Yeah, they have.
Until recently, when they began interfering in American elections. And when it happened, it was called a conspiracy theory.
Yeah. Well, again, still is. I don't know which part of it you're talking about. That's the rough part. Okay.
The biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign.
They didn't spy on your campaign, motherfucker. He's talking about this guy who was selling a service where he could track phone numbers, and he did a test run of it, and they found a bunch of Russian phones in the White House during the transition from Trump's fucking team, and he let everybody know. That was it. Also, they didn't spy on him. Again, if you call a drug dealer 26 fucking times, it's not a wrong number after the 24th time, and it's not weird that they would go to a judge and go, hey, judge, this guy, we don't know whose number this is, and we're not even allowed to know unless you give us the permission to, but this guy calls, this drug dealer that kills people all the time, yeah, this guy calls him all the time. Can we take a look at who he is, even though he's an American?
They spied on my campaign.
Well, there's no real evidence of that.
Of course there is.
No.
It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. It's everywhere. It's all over. It's in my head. I see it on everything.
Leslie,
Sir,
they spied on my campaign and they got caught.
Can I say something? You know, this is 60 Minutes, and we can't put on things we can't verify.
You won't put it on because it's bad for Biden.
We can't put on things we can't verify.
Leslie, they spied on my campaign.
Well, we can't.
Yeah, Leslie, what don't you understand? He said the thing 3 times. The third time is proof. It's like the fucking it's the Candyman. If you say it 3 or Beetlejuice, if you say it 3 times, it's so.
It's been totally verified.
No.
It's been just go down and get the papers.
Just go down and get the papers. Yeah, she's not in the news business. She wouldn't know.
They spied on my campaign. They got caught.
Barack Obama said everything was done by the book.
I guarantee that there is no political influence in any investigation conducted by the Justice Department or the FBI, not just in this case, but in any case.
Now, Obama isn't the first politician to lie and won't be the last.
Well, I would like you to explain how he's lying. That would be that in a news situation, you would show me how he just lied.
Last night, we brought you a bombshell report from journalists Michael Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi.
Oh, yeah, the guys who brought you Twittergate.
That allege Obama's CIA not only was involved in the Russia hoax.
It alleges it? Excuse me. I think you mean it proves it.
They started it.
No, you started it. No, you started it.
Story, as you mentioned, was that, we were just informed by foreign intelligence about this. Our sources tell us a very different story, which is...
Oh, yeah? Who would they be? I mean, you know what? I'm sorry, I shouldn't even ask. That proof and verification is for other people. You just say sources. Okay. Anyways, what did Trump say about sources, unnamed sources? I forget.
That this was initiated by the U.S. government. It came from within the U.S. government's intelligence community.
So your source is Vladimir Putin. Cool.
Including the CIA.
According to this report, Obama's CIA director, John Brennan, asked our English-speaking allies to target the Trump campaign. handing these foreign intelligence agencies a target list of 26 Trump associates. These
Trump associates. That's an interesting phrase. Trump associates. So these people are just innocent folks, I guess. We'll find out.
26 Trump associates
26 Trump associates, yeah.
were to be bumped, meaning they would be approached by assets, bumped into, and these interactions and relationships would be reported to the FBI as suspicious.
Oh, I see. So the UK and the CIA would get Russian people to bump them, and then they would report on them bumping into these other folks, not whether they took the bait. So let me see if I can figure this out. So you got a drug dealer, for example, and you know the person deals drugs and the like, but you don't have any proof of it or whatever. So you get like an undercover police officer to pose as another drug dealer who wants to purchase drugs, and that person approaches the person you believe to be a drug dealer and bumps that person, makes contact with that person. And if they are successful in buying drugs from this person that you believe is a drug dealer, or let's say guns for that matter, anything, any illicit, human beings, for example, all the things that Vladimir Putin's involved in, for example. And if that person successfully sets up an exchange, then that would serve as evidence in a court of law that the person that they bumped was engaged in these activities. Now, if they weren't, obviously this person who was bumped into would go, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have any drugs. What's your name again? And it would all be over.
These were people the CIA considered easy marks, like
yes, most of Trump's associates are easy.
George Papadopoulos.
Dopey, drunk, stupid. It's so funny. They didn't even have to do it. He blathered to the Australian ambassador.
20-year-old. Foreign spies didn't discover
You mean like Carter Page, the courier?
evidence of Trump-Russia collusion and turn it over to the feds. Foreign spies were assigned by Obama's CIA to create a false impression of collusion.
How would it, if they weren't open to it, or they weren't engaged in it, or they didn't have other connections to the Russians, then how would it create a false narrative? Wouldn't it put it to bed, arguably? I mean, that's the other thing you could test it. I mean, you kicking the tires on something. Sometimes you kick the tires and you find out they'll pop with one kick. Sometimes you kick them and they're solid. So the assumption on Jesse Waters' part is that for whatever fucking reason, I guess, Trump's people are criminal, and it doesn't take very much to get them to engage in criminal activity. Okay, gotcha. Okay.
To trigger an FBI counterintelligence investigation.
Why would it if they didn't take the bait? I mean, you could try and honeypot somebody who's happily in a relationship, but if they don't take the bait, the honeypot didn't work, right? And you learned something. You learned this person is not going to bend to that, and that'll give you some indication of whether or not they can be trusted.
Obama's CIA worked with Hillary's foreign agents in London to hatch the hoax, which led to the FBI investigation.
It seems like a bit of a reach. It seems like you're you're folding a cootie catcher here, young man.
The illegal wiretapping.
No, there weren't any illegal wiretapping at all.
Mike Flynn sting, and then when Trump caught wind
the Mike Flynn sting? You mean the guy who was working on behalf of the Turkish government?
of it, the Comey firing. And then Comey leaks the memos which triggered the Mueller investigation.
The memos?
Now, the Mueller investigation.
Well, he wouldn't have done it if you hadn't fired him. I guess he would have just gone through the normal thing, and he wouldn't have discovered any crimes because there weren't any there or whatever. But then Trump had to fire him because he was scared that he was getting too close, and then he was like, oh, shit.
The investigation was designed to cover up for Obama and Hillary and tee up impeachment.
Sure. Yeah. That's, of course.
It failed on impeachment, but the cover-up worked.
Of what? I mean, there was nothing to cover up. How could that? How do you cover up something that? Oh, never mind.
Until now.
Oh, good. Okay, thank God. Whew.
New reporting by Matt Taibbi and Michael Schellenberger revealed that House investigators had discovered the root causes.
Dun dun dun.
But their investigation and all of their documents were confined to secure rooms in Langley. And when Trump was leaving office in those hectic final days, He attempted to declassify this material.
He attempted? He doesn't have to attempt to declassify stuff. All he has to do is look at it with his magic eyes, and they automatically become declassified. You mean he couldn't just box them up and take them to Mar-a-Lago, where they would be surreptitiously declassified with his special fart ray?
Which started a battle between former CIA Director Gina Haspel, the Department of Justice, and the National Archives.
Why? I thought he had the right to have all those documents, so if he took it to his house, no harm, no foul. What the fuck do they have to say? He's the president of the United States up until, noon on January 21st.
The report says someone may have taken this binder of material exposing the entire intelligence community out of Langley. And it may have been what the FBI was looking for when they raided Mar-a-Lago.
Or it could have been the dozens of things they've been talking about that they found when they actually served a search warrant on the place.
Others say that's not true, but...
Well, great. Well, either way, up, down. Directions really matter. I mean, some of it's true, some of it's false and true. There's varying degrees of everything. At this point, I've gone cross-eyed.
The point remains that the Obama-Biden White House, their CIA and FBI director,
were much better at doing their job than Trump was.
Launched an illegal preemptive war against democracy.
No, I didn't. How do you put that together from what you just said?
Got caught and have been covering it up for 8 years.
How do you cover up something you were caught at? They caught you. You're caught. How do you cover up? How do you cover up after you've been caught? Isn't the whole point you try to cover it up? That's why the cover-up's worse than the crime, because you cover.
Schellenberger and Taibbi also say redacted FOIA documents suggest that Biden has been conspiring against Donald Trump with the intelligence community.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. Yeah, redacted ones. You could tell if you hold them up to the light.
To prosecute the former president in federal court.
Right, because that's what Trump says, and you just kind of go, well, any time I see on a piece of paper where everything's blacked out, I'm just going to fill that darkness with whatever Trump says.
Which would be an impeachable offense.
Good luck with that.
Matt Taibbi's the Racket News editor-in-chief.
Also, the fact that he named his shit the Racket should tell you something. And it ain't about tennis, baby.
And Griftopia author.
Jesus Christ. Is anything he does not a warning? Does he do anything that doesn't have a warning in the title?
So, this is great reporting.
No.
It's
just spit it out.
It's hard to verify because...
Yeah, it's the best, and I got to say, the best reporting is the hardest to verify.
Because,
that's what makes it exciting.
We were told that this special counsel, Durham, was going to get to the bottom of it.
And he did. He got to the absolute bottom. Yep. And he was like, there's nothing down here.
Are you saying he missed this?
Well, obviously on purpose.
We were told that the scope of the Durham investigation was limited to a few areas, and that he wasn't looking at this particular direction. The information that we have, the investigation that was conducted by the House Permanent Select Committee on Investigations.
Oh, you mean the stuff that they post online, the really secret stuff, like the big Chuck Grassley papers that he puts out all the time, the shit you can actually read that's boring as fuck and doesn't go anywhere. You mean that stuff?
Of intelligence, excuse me. What they found was a broad political espionage campaign, and there were two main conclusions that are at the center of our reports.
Or their reports.
One is that at least 26 Trump aides and associates were improperly and without predication placed under surveillance in the election year of 2016.
Yeah, except they all were contacting Russians or in direct contact with people that were on, danger lists. And also, this is the part where Jesse's like, well, you can't really talk about this, so it's hard to even verify this kind of stuff. The part they can't verify is like, hey, why'd you start following that guy? Because he was contacting someone awful. Who's that awful person? Well, considering we haven't caught them yet, we're not going to tell you because we're still trying to find them. And if they know we're onto them, it'll be even harder to get.
The other one is that these,
again, this is what happens when, they're often something that like atheists, especially talking about science, talk about the God of the gaps. Anything you can't explain with science, you just spackle it shut with God, right? Which is a reasonable criticism to have. And in this particular instance, this is the CIA of the gaps. Anything you can't explain can be explained with a CIA conspiracy that you can't possibly comprehend. That's essentially this. Good fucking God.
same folks cook the intelligence for the January 6, 2017 intelligence community assessment, saying that Russia conducted an influence campaign to help Donald Trump.
Which they obviously did. Even beyond the stuff that you're talking about, whether or not they were directly engaged, they of course did.
It's a WMD-style story. They suppressed dissenting opinions and created a false narrative.
No, they didn't. What dissenting opinion? That would be the easy part. Which dissenting opinions? If they crushed a dissenting opinion, obviously there'd be a bunch of crushed intelligence people who no longer work there who go, this was all horseshit. Bring them on. Why the fuck are you talking to this lame-o?
So there's a lot of debate over this binder. Is there a binder? What's in the binder? Is it redacted? Who
Mitt Romney has it. It's full of women, and he's still got it.
has it? Where is it? Is that why they conducted the raid? What's going on with these materials?
This is going to be good. I mean, I want to know. You want to know. Here comes the answer.
Well, it's a difficult story because we heard multiple
Yeah, so I mean, I know it's difficult, but just ballpark.
versions of what the binder is, how many binders there are. We heard
You've heard multiple versions of this story from your sources that your trusted sources will tell you that there's one binder or multiple binders and different stories about what's in them. Okay.
there are as many as 3.
Great. As many as 3.
But we do know a couple of concrete things. We know
Okay, thank God. Okay, we know a couple concrete things. Here they come. Very exciting. Concrete, baby.
that only a share of the Hipsy investigation ever got out. Of course, people are aware of the Nunes memo, which
Okay, a concrete fact is not, we know that something was published or part of something that's publicly available. Publicly available stuff, we all know that that's a fact. That's not a fact that furthers your narrative. Ever. The only facts that you have is something that is maybe in the stuff that we don't already know that you can present as more evidence that is backed up by something else. That would be my fucking God.
led to the investigation of abuses of FISA. We know that there was a
Jesus. Don't look. I know I always upset my pothead friends out there when I criticize any use of marijuana. And as a teetotaler, I have only this to say: I do not judge you, and I will always make sure that you have a safe ride home if necessary. And you never have to worry about me being under the influence because I got you covered. But what I will say is, don't bake up this hard before going on the air. I would just argue maybe a cup of coffee, just because you've got a 4-minute segment and apparently a 10-year conspiracy.
ever got out. Of course, people are aware of the Nunes memo, which led to the investigation of abuses of FISA. We know,
Which, by the way, found one person who lied on a FISA application, and that lie was done to benefit Donald Trump. The single lie that the one guy went to jail for, who was part of the Trump's legal group or whatever, is like the White House team or whatever, who ultimately got busted for lying on a FISA application, removed the part about Carter Page previously being a CIA source, and he took it out to try and get them to stop surveilling him. That the idea is that if you put in this application, it leaves out the fact that he used to be a CIA source and now he's just average American Carter Page, the judge is less likely to surveil an average American with no particular information that he might share. But when you find out he was a CIA source or he worked with the FBI or any of these other things, then they'll go, oh, fuck yeah, that guy's taken an oath, or we've used him as a source. That's what we need to follow that fucker. So he took that detail away in an attempt to trick the judge into not surveilling Carter Page. P.S. # fuck Carter Page.
Know that there was a report done into the origins of that intelligence community assessment, which supposedly never left a vault on the grounds of Langley. That's like a 17 to 20 page report that was confirmed by multiple sources. Apart from that,
which part? That it was 17 pages, or that it was 20 pages, or that it never left the vault, or that the vault's at Langley, or that there's a vault at all, or the name of the vault, or Oiga Vault?
we were told there are numerous other investigative materials that may or may not be these binders that stories are referring to.
Really? So, let me get this right. There, in a vault that may or may not be at Langley, there may or may not be secret information that may or may not be in binders that may or may not still be there. Cool. Is this part of the concrete that I was promised? Was this the concrete? This is the concrete stuff. Run that by me again. Let's listen to that one more time, because I feel like what?
On the grounds of Langley, that's like a 17 to 20 page report that was confirmed by multiple sources.
Yeah, nothing that was in it, just the number of pages, and that apparently there's a 17 or 20 page report in a vault in Langley that exists. I could probably say that and it would go unconfirmed and probably turn out to be true if you broke in there. They're probably in there somewhere a 17 to 20 page report. I'm just going to say it right now. I bet, I have it on good authority that there is a 25 page report in the vault at Langley that was there at one point and may or may not be there now. Cool. Can I be a Schellenberger Taibbi source now?
Apart from that, we were told.
Apart from that, here it comes.
There are numerous other investigative materials that may or may not be these binders that stories are referring to. But we know that there's a lot of stuff that didn't get out, that there was.
This motherfucker. Really? Really? Dude. Really? Dude. Really? How do you say things that are true without but don't actually have a point? Good Lord. Listen to that again. And he even laughs at the end of it. What he's fucking saying is, he's on the fucking news. This is on Jesse Waters' show. Jesse, you fucking dipshit, for the record. Can I just say, Jesse, congratulations on Matt Taibbi wiping his ass with your show. Seriously. That's what we're watching. All conspiracy theories and ideas. And by the way, look at Jesse Waters' fucking face, and he knows that. He fucking knows that. He knows in this very moment that this motherfucker is wiping his ass with Jesse Waters prime time, which is probably the best use you could put it to.
A vault on the grounds of Langley. That's like a 17 to 20 page report that was confirmed by multiple sources. Apart from that, we were told there are numerous other investigative materials that may or may not be these binders that stories are referring to. But we know that there's a lot of stuff that didn't get out, that there were thousands of hours of investigation and their conclusions have not yet been declassified. Mm-hmm.
Oh, this would.
Did somebody in his ear just say, dude, shut the fuck up? We just watched that happen. he responded to somebody in fucking Matt Taibbi's ear, probably CIA. I'm going to go with CIA. Yep. Somebody from the CIA is in Matt Taibbi's ear going, dude, shut the fuck up.
Investigation, and
Watch.
their conclusions have not yet been declassified.
Oh, this would
What was that? Tell me you have someone in your earpiece without telling me you have someone in your earpiece. Holy shit.
Investigation, and their conclusions have not yet been declassified.
oh,
A doop. A dur. Holy shit. Literally, did he just, somebody on a side monitor went, psst, wrap it up. I'm through.
this would just be
The past wasn't that long ago.
another reason why they want to do everything they can to prevent Donald Trump from returning to the White House.
What? What does that have to do with anything? What are you talking about? I'm not, at this point, I'm so fucking confused. I'm not sure Trump isn't trapped in a vault in Langley at this point.
Because he'll blow the lid off for that. He tried to, wasn't able to at the very end, but caught him most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time. None of the times that it actually mattered, and he's still not fucking president.
I'm interested in your reporting that there is, I guess, heavily redacted FOIA documents that suggest that Joe Biden has been collaborating with the intelligence community.
Really? Which part suggests that? The redacted part or the unredacted part?
To prosecute these federal cases against Donald Trump. And we'll see how that shakes out. Matt, great reporting.
Wait, you're not going to have him answer? You just bugging him. Look at this. I thought that was a setup for a question, didn't you?
That he tried to, wasn't able to at the very end, but caught him most of the time. I am interested in your reporting that there is, I guess, heavily redacted FOIA documents that suggest that Joe Biden has been collaborating with the intelligence community to prosecute these federal cases against Donald Trump.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that shakes out. Matt, great reporting to you and Schellenberger. I suggest everybody go to your website, your Substack, and read it for yourself. Thanks again.
Hey, Sean Hannity.
Just cutting out. Didn't even mention the racket again. Just wanted to bug the fuck out. Could you tell this dumb motherfucker was like, how do I get this asshole off my show immediately? I gotta say, I didn't have a lot of hope that this would be as entertaining and stupid as the Twitter files, but I'm so happy that this was one of the 0.5% of the time that I am wrong. This was a joy. It was a big party in my pants, and never have I enjoyed someone ruining someone else's show with such wanton abandon as this. Congratulations, Matt Taibbi. You are now the bald comber. Terrific. Well done. You are, yes. You're like a cross between James Comer and a very small penis. Good for you. Good for you. Oh, shit. And by the way, in case you're just joining me, you've never seen the show before, hit that like, hit that subscribe, share the show out, all that kind of stuff. Because, and I would recommend, go back and do a search for my name and Taibbi and watch all the clips that I've done shooting the shit out of this ridiculous Twitter files nonsense that they were selling for a while. And boy, did that fucking, turd in a bag turn out to be a big nothing burger. And it's nice to know. You know what? I got to give Taibbi and Schellenberger credit for one thing. Staying on brand. That's right. That's the best part of it. It's just they, do you have a license for that minky? Yes, there's joy in my pants. As I told you earlier, I'm not wearing any pants. Okay? Am I kidding or is it true? You're not going to know. We're at the end of the show and you're not going to find out. I'm sorry. That's just how it works. It's Thursday. And I got shit to do. I got to go eat something or I'm going to fall over. Clipped. Uh-oh. Look out. Yeah. Also, yes, who has Hunter's laptop right now? Who has Hunter Biden's laptop? Who's holding on to it right now? Anybody in the chat room? Do we know? I got to go read the 1023 report and the indictment. Okay, it's bouncing around. Good to go. I can't turn on the cat cam. You'll see my legs, my bare feet, and my naughtiness. Try to, if I can I show you guys something though before I go? You want to see this? Hold on 1 second. I can't show you all of it, but I can show you a little bit. Hold on. So I had acupuncture for my shoulder and all that stuff, which is helping. It's working. It's still got some work to do. You can kind of see a little bit here, but yeah, there you go. Look at that. See the cupping marks? There you go. I look like hickeys, don't they? It's a good time. I'm just saying, I've got a great acupuncturist, and she's fabulous. Yeah, that's the case. Anybody ever? Yeah, that's from suction cups. So they take a like a glass jar like that, and then they light a flame inside of it. You light basically a cotton ball, set it on fire, hold it inside there. It burns the oxygen inside there, and then they pop it down on you. It's hot, and then it pulls the skin up and that kind of stuff. And it'll go away in like a day. But I thought I'd share it with you. Just saying. You're welcome. They're all over my back. I look like I was in a fight with a fucking squid. But I'm doing good and making progress. And love you guys as well. And thank you guys for hitting that like and subscribing and all that kind of stuff. Share the show. Patreon.com/HalSparks. Like, subscribe, etc., etc. All the stuff I forget to say. And every time I forget to say it, I see it on the insights on all the web pages. The viewership goes down and all that kind of stuff because I don't remind people. But I'm trying to do it better and all that kind of shit. And it doesn't really matter. And all that matters is the kidney. Kidney. It could happen.